Virtual RC Racing, The Inside Story. Episode 9, The Evolution of the Gameport Adapter. My name is Peter Barefoots. This VRC adventure started back in 1995 with the VRC-1 Gameport adapter, remember? In Episode 1, I explained how I got interested in using an RC transmitter to control racing games like IndyCar racing or NASCAR racing. I assumed that using an RC transmitter would be a lot more intuitive for gamers than using a joystick, and that this could be a way of introducing RC transmitters and the radio-controlled racing car hobby to a large public, especially race game enthusiasts. At that moment, I had no intention at all to develop an RC racing sim myself. Why would I? This was far beyond my skills, and to be honest, also my interest. I had Serpent to run and had my hands full on the ever-increasing competition. Developing a device that would connect an RC transmitter and receiver with a PC was all I had in mind. I just had to find an electronics engineer to develop the electronics, write the software for it, and find a company that could do the printed circuit boards and the assembly. Back in 1995, the USB port was not around yet. That came in 1996. So how to connect our Gameport adapter to a PC? It was either through the COM port, the RS-232 port, or the parallel port. We opted for the COM port as the communication protocols were more suitable for our device. At least that's what the electronics engineer suggested to me. The VRC-1 Gameport adapter was introduced to the market in 1995. The promotion focused entirely on using it for racing car sims. I found the brochure we had made for the VRC-1, and it is all about using it as a controller for the Papyrus IndyCar racing game, the most popular and advanced racing game back then. I can't reiterate enough, this was the stone age of Internet. Internet was slow. Connecting using a 288K modem was the standard, and no hosting centers or service providers yet. I think we sold a few thousand of them worldwide, not really making a big impression on the racing sim market, but it was a start of something much bigger for me. With the introduction of the USB port, it was clear that the use of the COM port or parallel port would fade out very quickly. USB was really a turning point, a standardized protocol to connect all sorts of devices to a PC, and you could even hook up more than one device to a single USB port. We were making good progress with our virtual RC racing sim game development, so the only logical thing to do was to develop a USB Gameport adapter. I had asked Lothar to do some research into developing a USB adapter. After all, his skills and expertise were in electronics and software development. The next important thing to decide was what connector plugs to use on the 2-3 wire leads. We opted for the JR plugs, as they seemed the most compatible plugs, also used by other RC transmitter manufacturers, although there were also several who had their own proprietary plugs. Luckily, we chose the right one, and this one is still in use as the standard plug today. Our pro engineer developers at Serpent designed the housing for this USB adapter. I didn't want it to look like an ordinary USB stick. It had to stand out, I thought. So we came up with a fancy, stylish design, a transparent orange-colored casing. Lothar had warned me that the outside dimensions were beyond the form factor dimensions laid down in international USB device conventions, but I ignored that. Little did I know. Our USB was indeed a little too thick, meaning that you could not insert a second USB device in the next USB port. Oops! Anyway, we got away with it. It was not a really big issue. The pre-programmed microprocessor came from a small German company, Code Mercenaries. We had to order them in batches of 2,000 at a time. I am not sure where we actually produced our VRC-2 USB Gameport adapter. I think it was a Chinese electronics company, AMAX. They did the injection molding tooling for the casing, produced the printer circuit boards, and did the final assembly and packaging. The VRC-2 USB Gameport adapter was successfully introduced in 2002, but it had one flaw. The soldering points of the USB plug on the printed circuit board were quite fragile and caused some adapters to stop working after some time. Next came the VRC-3 USB adapter. Due to delivery problems with the microprocessor, we asked AMAX if they could produce the whole USB adapter, including using a Chinese alternative for the microprocessor. We changed the design to a simple rectangular model, which was following the USB device convention. It was introduced somewhere around 2006, but this version was short-lived. The arrival of the new 2.4 GHz transmitter technology, introduced by Spectrum in 2007, caused the RC market to shift away from the good old crystal-based 27, 35, 40, and 72 MHz frequencies. Thank God, what a mess that frequencies era was. But luckily, the RC world had developed ways to cope with it. Anyway, the use of the new 2.4 GHz technology meant that the good old VRC-3 USB adapter died a sudden death. We needed once more a new USB adapter that would work with both the old crystal transmitters and with the new 2.4 GHz transmitters. And we needed it fast. AMAX was able to redesign the electronics, found a new supplier for a more advanced microprocessor, still affordable though. The casing stayed the same, new printed circuit board, and now 2 3-lead cables. Tony designed new packaging for it, and in 2008 we were ready to ship the VRC 3NT USB adapter. Unfortunately, the VRC 3NT USB adapter was discontinued in 2018 when the production of the special microprocessor we used for this new version came to a sudden stop. The quantities required to do another production run of this processor were way beyond what we as virtual racing industries could ever sell. I thought the solution for the future could be to try to align all radio equipment manufacturers, the Direct Game Control Initiative. Let me explain what this was all about. 2.4 GHz transmitter technology uniquely binds the transmitter with the receiver. This is a one-on-one wireless connection. Once bound, no other transmitter-receiver combination can interfere with that connection. When the RC equipment market had completely changed to 2.4 GHz in 2008, I came up with a Direct Game Control Initiative idea. What if transmitter manufacturers would equip the microprocessors used for the transmitter with a version that would also support the USB protocol? That would mean that the transmitter would be able to communicate directly with any PC through the USB port, either by cable or even wireless. Okay, it would mean the end of our USB adapter sales, but the benefits would easily outweigh that. Imagine what a technological breakthrough that would have been, probably even more for flight sims, model airplane and helicopter, than for model RC car sims like VRC. I asked Lothar to study this concept and write a technical paper which I would then communicate with the RC transmitter industry. The 22-page technical paper that Lothar produced outlined all the technical specifications and all the options this new technology would present to the industry. My hope was that an innovative company like Horizon/Spectrum, who already was the US distributor for VRC version 3.5, would jump on it immediately, seeing the vast opportunities this new technology would offer. After all, the gaming industry is probably the biggest competitor to the RC industry, and this was an outright chance to connect these two markets. Despite all my efforts to convince the industry, and much to my regret and disappointment, it did not happen. Probably a few years too early. And then at last, the current one, the 9 Turbo RX series 12-bit USB adapter. We badly needed a new USB adapter after failing to develop our own in 2018. We turned to 9 Turbo in Thailand. We had already tested the adapter they had developed and knew that this design was superior to anything else on the market in terms of speed and versatility. And it was 4-channel, meaning that users with a 3 or 4-channel transmitter could initiate additional functions on their transmitter, like turn marshal and refuel, which are usually done on the keyboard and can save the racer tenths of seconds. The 9 Turbo RX4 was a naked version, no casing around the circuit board, just a transparent protection wrap. We pressed for a proper casing which came with the RX5 series, together with a software update. A supply shortage issue has led to a redesign with a new microprocessor and new instruction set, version RX6, which was introduced in March 2022. The 9 Turbo RX series is produced in very small quantities, and therefore the price is very high, which came as a shock to the market. But the quality is outstanding, and add to that Smith V, Thai last names are simply too long, provides personal support in the VRC Tech forums. Now back to the VRC Inside story. We were almost ready to launch. All we needed was a website, event structures, rankings, and more. That's next. Make sure to subscribe to the Inside Story playlist on YouTube so you don't miss an episode of this compelling story. Thank you for watching.